The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Star Sport podcast. I'm your host Matthew Hurley and I'm joined today as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose credit union, choose local, choose community. Now later on in the show, we'll be joined by Irish hockey legend David Harte as he begins his new journey away from the Dutch League. But first, we'll look at some main stories that happened across West Cork sport over the past week. And it was a full winning mentality for the Cork teams over last weekend. Starting off with the Cork footballers, they beat Cavan in Kingspan Breffni by 21 points to 19. In the end, John Cleary's side finished 5th. Making Sam Maguire a probability, I would say, at this stage. The only way the Cork would miss out is if, for example, if Sligo beat Mayo and Connacht, or Offaly get to the Leinster final in Leinster, if Fermanagh get to an Ulster final, etc. So it's looking very likely Sam Maguire football is going to be here to stay for this year, Kieran. But yeah, just on the game, first of all, it was a good win for Cork to get.
Exactly, yeah, and this is just I suppose the end to the campaign that the Cork footballers wanted. You know, I suppose first off, it just kind of put to bed any relegation worries. And if we're, like, truth be told, go back a couple of rounds and after Cork lost to Monaghan and Roscommon back to back, that was the fear that Cork were being sucked into that relegation scrap, and it was still the reality on Sunday. And up in Cavan, as in there could have been a set of results that could have sent Cork down to Division 3. So it's almost mission accomplished in that sense, as in Cork avoided relegation, and it's another mid-table Division 2 finish. But considering for the County War a couple of weeks ago, you take that, because where we are now is Cork have a bit of momentum heading into the Munster Championship. Like I said, back-to-back wins, first against Louth, then a very good win against a Cavan team that had won 4 in a row up until last weekend. So with that short turnaround to the Munster Championship, and it's just around the corner, Cork are travelling up to the Gaelic grounds on Saturday week, that's April 5th, for that Munster quarter-final. So that's like a week and a half away. So that turnaround is so short. So Cork can take some momentum off the back of an encouraging end to the league. So all of a sudden, I think there's reasons for optimism there, Matthew.
There definitely is, and I suppose with the Sam Maguire football, Cork should make it. You would imagine Cork would make Sam Maguire though. Like, I don't, just with the greatest of respect to Sligo, greatest respect to Fermanagh, etc. I don't think they're going to make provincial finals. It'll be a massive shock if they did. So to get Sam Maguire football for this Cork team, I think that's absolutely vital for John Cleary's side in terms of staying away from the Tata Cup. I know it might be an opportunity to win a trophy, but if Cork were down in that competition after the stage of the 5-year plan, for example, that probably would have been disastrous. So to be in the Sam Maguire Cup as well is a massive coup for the Cork footballers too.
Yeah, 100%, because what this Cork team needs, and we've been saying the same thing for the last couple of years, they need consistent games against quality opposition, and that's what the All-Ireland Championship is going to bring, the Sam Maguire Cup. Like we saw last year, like Cork up against the likes of Donegal and beat them in Páirc Uí Rinn. You know, that was a great occasion to be up there that day. Like, and that was one of the big highlights of last year for the Cork footballers. So what Cork needs, it's that exposure to the best teams, but for Cork to reach that level, it just needs a lot more consistency, because you've seen over the years where Cork can raise their games to beat a Mayo or a Roscommon or a Donegal when it comes to the championship, but then they're going to leave themselves down when it comes to kind of games in the league. Like the away game against Down was the one that the Cork looked back on over with an awful lot of regret, because if Cork won that game, all of a sudden Cork are going up to Division 1. You know, kind of it's those fine margins. Look back to last year's championship, Cork lost away to Louth. And it's a very disappointing day. So it's that consistency that this Cork team needs, but has to start somewhere, and a lot of new players have been blooded throughout this league. Like you've seen every Cork game in the flesh match. You've been to all the away games and the home games. Can you talk to us about the new kids on the block and how impressed you've been by them?
Definitely. So, like, even the quarterbacks, for example, Sean Brady and Neil Lordan. Neil Lordan's played every minute of the Cork games out of the 7 games, and that's very, very impressive. He's 23 years of age this year. He was in the All-Ireland minor winning team in 2019 as well. To come into that kind of situation and be as comfortable as he has been over the last few games, in particular against Louth and Cavan, I think it's good for him, obviously. And then Sean Brady to come in for Mar Shanley, who is an experienced player in this Cork team at this stage. He did very well coming in. Even Sean Walsh, I know Ian Maguire's come back into the team and he's taken his starting spot. But even when he has come on, like if Maguire or Colm O'Callaghan do go off instead of Sean Walsh, like I don't think Cork are degraded in any way. You look at Sean McDonald, another new kid coming on the block as well, scored 4 points the last day from 4 possible shots, 110 from play as well across the league campaign, which is good for him. Even new free takers. I know Mark Cronin's been in the team for quite a while now, but it's usually been either Stephen Sherlock or Brian Hurley on the frees. Cronin's taken up the mantle really, really well. I think he's converted just under 90% of his frees across the league campaign, which is a really, really good tally for him. And possibly what Cork needed, a consistent kind of free taker as well. And you look at other positions in the pitch and even look at the bench as well. There are players that are staking their claim for starting spots as well, which is a good sign. And especially with the injured players that are going to come back. Luke Fahey's eventually going to come back. Conor Corbett, Sean Meehan, Sean Powter. Like they're all going to come back into the team, which is a good sign. And then you have the younger players stepping up to the mantle as well. Considering what John Cleary kind of had at the start of the league campaign, kind of players either stepping away due to travel, retirement, injury, or just have no interest in playing with the Cork footballers this year. And to bring in these new players, and Cleary has described even Brady and Lordan coming into the team as them being thrown into the deep end. They've done really, really well, to be fair to them. And you have to give them a lot of credit, I suppose. But just in terms of the whole team, Kieran, you mentioned there, if they beat down, all of a sudden they're in the promotion places. This is the highest points total that the Cork team has got since 2016 in the top 2 divisions. Like they got 14 points in Division 3 in 2020, but other than that, this has been their highest points total since a total of 10 in Division 1 in 2015. Considering all that and considering their last 2 performances against Louth and Cavan when they were under pressure, do they deserve a bit more credit than what they're getting at the moment?
That's a good point. I think if we want to kind of, I suppose the outset of the league was that Cork targeted promotion. That was what Cork wanted from this year's Division 2 campaign. And it was a year where promotion looked achievable in the sense that the teams that had come down from Division 1 last year, Monaghan and Roscommon, they weren't as strong as in previous years when we saw Dublin and Galway come down. Or even next year, you look at Tyrone and Derry coming down, kind of like Tyrone and Derry coming into the Division 2 next year, they'll be favourites to bounce straight back up. So almost with that scene that you had Monaghan and Roscommon down there, it's like the door was even slightly more open for the Cork footballers. So promotion was the target. And if we're being quite honest here, Cork didn't meet the target of Cork didn't get promoted, so they just didn't meet the goal that they'd set out. So that's disappointing from that point of view because, like we said earlier, we know how important it is for Cork to get up to Division 1 and play those top tier teams all the time. But considering where the team was after round 5 and that heavy defeat to Roscommon, they do deserve credit for rebounding the way that they did, beating Louth and then getting that super win away to Cavan. Like it's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely steps in the right direction. But we've been here so often in the past with Cork football teams, and it's almost like it's stuck in this Groundhog Day cycle, kind of that skirted relegation in Division 2, but then survive and then get into the All-Ireland series, maybe get one win and then bow out at a preliminary quarter-final. So some Cork team at some stage has to buck that trend, kind of. You'd be hoping it could be this group. This group might do something this year. We just have to wait and see how it plays out. But they do deserve credit for the way that they've I wouldn't say answered their critics in the last 2 games, but the way they've gone out and produced performances that have got the results, kind of they deserve credit for that. But this we need more. Like we need to see Cork taking strides forward, because we don't want to sit here at the end of the season and almost say, well, it was very much like last season and the season before. You want to see a team kind of to see that progress and development, to take steps forward in terms of the league. Cork didn't take a step forward in a sense because they weren't promoted. Like it's another mid-table Division 2 finish. Okay, more points than in previous seasons, but the Cork footballers still missed out on their ultimate goal, which was to get promoted. But you'd hope that, like I was saying earlier, that bit of momentum off the back will just take Cork through the next couple of weeks, because the Limerick tie will be tricky enough. Going up to the Gaelic grounds. Limerick are on a bit of height at the moment. They have their Division 4 final this Saturday up in Croke Park. So Cork are going up there against a Limerick team and nothing to lose. But get past that, it's a pop off Kerry, and that's the one. Like that's like given the kind of the different trajectories of the counties in the last couple of years, I don't want to say it's a free shot for the Cork team, but the expectation will be on a Kerry win. So that is a game to target, providing Cork obviously kind of jump the Limerick hurdle on Saturday week, and that's the one. That's the game that could change the I suppose the talk around the Cork footballers to go beat Kerry in a Munster Championship game. A lot has to happen before we get there, but we need to see that progress. We need to see a big result, and I don't think there's any big result for a Cork football team right now than beating a Kerry team and then getting into a Munster final.
Exactly so, and we'll discuss the Limerick game in more depth in next week's podcast. And obviously Limerick, as Kieran mentioned there, in Division 4 final this weekend against Wexford and Croke Park. We'll see how they get on in that as well. Moving on to the hurlers, and they had a superb win in Super Valley Park Kiev over the weekend. They beat Galway 4-22 to 22 points. That means Cork will play Tipperary in the league final after a brilliant win. And here, looking forward to that Tipperary game. I know that's probably a game that we probably should discuss in preview in next week's podcast, but the tickets are already sold out for this game, which is absolutely remarkable in its own right. It probably just shows the hype around this Cork team right now, that a league final has been sold out. But obviously the win against Galway was an excellent win, and probably more to come from this Cork team.
Yeah, it's kind of job done, box ticked, roll on, Cork into league final. We've spoken about it here, Matthew, how important it is for this Cork team to get hold of some silverware. They're within one game of doing it now. Is it a surprise the league final has sold out? No, not at all. You can see the crowds that this Cork team brings. I think it's kind of over 20,000, kind of to a league game on a Saturday night. There's an incredible support for Cork hurling, and we saw it last year. We've seen it going to come to the championship like that. That sea of red, that fills either Croke Park or Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and there really is a sense of there's something happening with this Cork hurling team, and it's quite exciting to be a fan of Cork hurling right now, because there's a growing expectation that this group can do something. Obviously, it came close to the big prize last year, losing their Ireland final to Clare. The hope is this Cork team can step on, and it's looking encouraging so far. Kind of Cork have been the form team when it comes to the league. The Munster Championship isn't too far ahead for the Cork hurlers either, and that's where they'll really be judged, because that's where that's what really matters. But looking ahead to the league final, if Cork can get a trophy under their belt, I think that's just the boost that they need going into Munster.
Definitely so, and we'll preview the Tipperary game in next week's podcast. But just before we leave the hurling, Patrick Harkin, we have to credit him, all-time leading scorer in the hurling league, and he's currently the top scorer in the hurling championship of all time as well. The Glen Rovers man is a Cork legend, and there's no denying that. And even the funny thing was, in the interview afterwards with RT, he went over to Joanne Cantwell. Joanne said that he was the top scorer in the league of all time, and he actually didn't know that. So, like he's just an incredible kind of a player, Patrick Horgan, and the score, I think it was 190 the other night as well. He definitely is, even at the age of 36, 37, he's still one of the leading lights of this Cork team too.
He's just incredible. Like there will have to be a statue at some stage to Patrick Horgan, kind of down the line, in terms of, like you said, the championship top scorer, the league top scorer, what that man has done for Cork hurling over the years. And a lot of those have been lean years, kind of for a player of his ilk and his class and his caliber, like kind of to not get the medals that you'd hope someone like that would get. Maybe now this is the season where all that could change. And wouldn't that just be incredible for Patrick Horgan to get his hand on medals at this stage of his career? But I suppose it's so important, Matthew. He's still producing. Like you said, he got 1-9 against Galway the last day. Was it 125 during the league? You know, something along that line. So he's still very much a kind of a weapon in Pat Ryan's attack. And there's more to come from Patrick Horgan this year. And it's bubbling up nicely. You know, it's kind of like I said, it's an exciting time to be a Cork hurling fan right now. No doubt there's a lot of teams waiting in the long grass. You know, kind of you can imagine the likes of Limerick are loving Cork getting all this attention because they'll be chomping at the bit to take Cork down. But right in the present right now, this Cork hurling team is in a good place. And like I said, we'll look ahead to the league final next year. But that could just be another step in the right direction for what could be a really, really good summer.
Definitely so. And yeah, he's on fire at the moment, obviously. And he did mention in the RT interview, was kind of angling it as well, that the players around him are probably the best that he's ever had. And this might be a major chance for him to win the All-Ireland, no doubt about it. But moving on to the ladies footballers, they had a good win in Navan GA club in Ballyvorney. They beat Clare on a scoreline of 112 to 7 points. That seals their place in the Division 2 final against Galway, who thumped Monaghan in the other game, which is probably a warning sign for Cork, no doubt about it. But in terms of Navan hosting a game like this, Kieran, in terms of a ladies football league game, it's brilliant for the whole club to host this, and to put the cherry on top of the cake, Cork got promotion.
Yeah, all the reports back from Navan was that they just did an incredible job. Like, they rolled out the red carpet for the Cork ladies footballers, and just was a really, really successful hosting of an inter-county game, and the first time the club had hosted a senior inter-county game like this. And we've seen it in the past few seasons for Hamel and Clonakilty did likewise as well. And I think it's brilliant from Cork LGFA that they're taking the game out to people. You know, we've seen the game in Clonakilty, we've seen a game in Navan, and it's just exposing the Cork ladies football team to exposing that team to new fans. You know, kind of, there would have been fans at that game on Sunday in Ballyvorney that would not have travelled to Páirc Uí Rinn or Páirc Uí Chaoimh or to Mallow to watch them, and that's the honest truth about where we're at right now. So for Navan to get such a big crowd, I just think it's such a positive for the Cork ladies football at a time when, like the Cork hurlers, it's just bubbling along quite nicely. It's been a tough couple of years for the Cork ladies football team in terms of a huge transition. Lost so many experienced players, and we have this new kind of crop coming through, and a new manager, Joe Carroll. So to win promotion back up to Division 1 at the first attempt, big box ticked, you know, into league final against Galway. And I think that's in April 12th, I think it is, well, it's in April anyway. That'll be an occasion to look forward to. So it's quite positive around the Cork ladies football team right now, and Navan played a role in that. So congratulations to everyone involved in that, and hopefully we'll see the Cork ladies footballers again brought out around the county more and more.
Exactly so, and that Galway and Cork game will be a double header with the Division 1 final of Armagh and Kerry, which should be a good day in Croke Park for everybody involved, and we'll talk about it more in the next few weeks. And the camogie team, another team in the league final as well, they beat Tipperary in a scoring of 112 to 7 points. In the RAG, Clodagh Finn got 5 points in this one, Katrina Mackey got 1-2 as well, and this was against the Tipperary team that didn't score anything from play at all, which is probably just a testament to the Cork defence and how well they did. Tipperary had only one score throughout the whole game in Grace O'Brien. You have to give the Cork defence a lot of credit, the attack a lot of credit, and it's just, as you say about the hurlers, it's bubbling along nicely for the camogie team right now, who are going for 3 in a row in terms of All-Irelands, but they have a league final first to look forward to. Yeah,
it's just, this team is kind of this, obviously it's back-to-back All-Ireland champions. This is the team that knows how to win, and they just started the season so impressively. They haven't conceded a goal yet this season. In their 4 league games, they haven't conceded a goal. Like you said, the last day against Tipperary, Cork didn't concede any scores from play, which is an incredible stat to come away with from a senior Division 1A inter-county game, where it's the best of the best. But it just shows where this Cork team is right now. This team, they don't need to win the league ahead of the championship, because they are, I said, back-to-back All-Ireland winners. But again, it would be a great boost for the side going into the Munster and All-Ireland series. It's just they're just a phenomenal outfit right now, Matthew. They really are. There's strength all over the park. They're not swatting away opposition, but they're passing every test that's put in front of them. Okay, things will ratchet up when we get to the championship season, but they're doing their job right now, and it's been so impressive. Their final group game, this weekend, I think against Galway on Saturday in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. So we'll have to see what John Manley and his management do. Will they rest a couple of players before the league final, or will they just go full strength again, or what they're going to decide to do? But it's just been a really impressive start to the year for the Cork camogie team, and it's almost a standard that we expect after now. They've such high standards in terms of what they've achieved over the last couple of years, and they're hitting those standards again this early in the year.
Exactly so, and hopefully they will do well. Well, first they play Galway in the last league game. They could play Galway in the league final. If Galway go and win that game, I think Tipperary are playing Waterford in the other game. If Tip better Galway's result, then Tip could be in the league final, but we have to see in the next few weeks. We'll take a quick break now, and after the break we'll be hearing from Irish hockey legend David Harte.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So welcome back to the podcast, and in a while we'll be Kieran caught up with Irish hockey legend David Harte as he embarks on his new adventure after a brilliant career over in the Netherlands. Suppose, Kieran, there's no other word to describe David Harte in terms of Irish hockey and legendary status. He's just a brilliant goalkeeper to have, and the amount of appearances, I think it's 234 appearances for Ireland so far in his career. He's an incredible ambassador, really, for Irish hockey.
We had a couple of more appearances to that. I think it's up around the 250 at this stage, Matthew. I've always found with hockey stats over the years, trying to find up-to-date hockey stats and to find out how many appearances that David has made for Ireland, and even his twin brother Conor, who's an incredible amount of appearances as well. But I'm sure it's around the 250 mark, but it's something, it must be a task I'm going to set myself to find out exactly how many at this stage. But no, like you said, David Harte is a living legend when it comes to Irish hockey. He was twice voted the best goalkeeper in the world. You know, that's a man from West Cork. He went to school in Bandon Grammar, who was the best hockey goalkeeper in the world, and voted that for 2 years in a row. That's an incredible level to meet. And he's been in the Netherlands for 15 years. He's been with Kampong for 13 years after being with SCHC for 2 years before that. It was in 2010 where David left West Cork to go to the Netherlands, and he's still there now. But himself, his wife Lynn, and his two daughters, they've decided the time is right to move into the next chapter of their story. So they're moving to Belfast, where Lynn is from. So that'll be an exciting time for David, Lynn, and the whole family. But before that, there's the Dutch season to finish out, and Kampong are involved in a couple of competitions there. So David wanted to bow out in a high. So it's just he's just been one of those incredible West Cork success stories, you know, when it comes to sport. You know, kind of someone who lived locally, went to school locally, started off his sport locally, and look at the incredible heights that he's achieved. Like a two-time Olympian. He captained the Irish men's hockey team in Rio back in 2016, and I think that was the first time now. It was 100 years that Ireland had a men's hockey team at an Olympics. At 36 last year, he was back at his second Olympics and putting in incredible performances there. He probably won't forgive me for saying that he's turning 37 quite soon, you know, but with David, he just still produces at such a high level. I know Kampong have described him as probably the best purchase that they've ever had, you know, one of their real legends of the club. So he'll want the boat in a high, and that's why I caught up with him just a few days ago, just to chat about, I suppose, first his decision, why they've decided to go, I suppose, come back to Ireland now, and also about some of the incredible memories that he's made over in the Netherlands. Delighted now to be joined on the podcast by David Harte. And the big news, David, after 15 years in the Netherlands, you're moving back to Ireland, well to Belfast. So talk to me a small bit about this decision to come back to Ireland and to leave Kampong behind you.
A very tough decision, but one that I know that's certainly best for family, for my wife and my two daughters. So that was ultimately the deciding factor in everything. And it was going to happen eventually, to be honest, Kieran. I've always said it to you when we've chatted to it before. You know, living over here has been fantastic and still is, but it's just not home. So we will be returning to the island of Ireland. It won't be to Cork, but it will be to Belfast. So we'll be up in Northern Ireland. But yeah, either way, excited to get back and see what the future holds.
When did you realise that you were going to move to Belfast? How fast did it all move?
I think it was always the plan. You know, I had chatted with Lynn, my wife, and we were saying, where does the future actually, where does it lie for us? Is it, you know, is it in Ireland? Is it here in the Netherlands? Is it another foreign adventure to Australia or to America or something like that? And with everything going on in the world and with everything that we've realized over the 4 or 5 years of having kids and not having that close network around you of, grandparents or sisters or brothers or aunties or uncles, it was kind of just, it was time, it was just come to the stage. I think I was over in India for the Hockey India League, and I sent the club a message, the head of the board of the top hockey commission, being like, listen, I won't be an option for you guys next year. And that was pretty much it. It was a bit of a surreal moment, strange to do it over a WhatsApp message, but at the same time, a bit of a weight off the shoulders as well, knowing that we had made the decision. And ultimately, as I said to you, just best thing to do for Lynn and for the girls moving forward.
Does it become very real then, David, the fact that you sent that message and almost like the decision has been made and you kind of said, this is my last season, like it became very definite then. Did that kind of make it become more real to you?
It's scary is probably the best word about it, because, finally, yeah, making that decision to leave what's been home here for 15 years, everything I've ever known in the majority of my adult life, the big milestones that we've hit over here. Lynn moved over here in 2016. We got married here, bought our first house here, had our two girls here, all those kind of things, But it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been better than I ever could have ever imagined, wished for, hoped for. But all good things have to come to an end.
Like you mentioned there, like you had so many incredible life moments over in Utrecht. To say goodbye to that city, what's that going to be like?
It's going to be tough. We were joking about it that we're going to try and see if we can throw a typical kind of going away bash. I'm saying it's not too much to be celebrating, but there is, it's celebrating those friendships, those relationships that we built up, how much the club and Kampong has meant to us as a family, and me individually, of course, and personally, and just to celebrate our time here that we've had in Utrecht and go out with a bang, really. So we said, we're going to try and see when we can do that, when's best time to arrange something like that, and have a nice send off before returning to the Emerald Isle.
And the next chapter must be so exciting too, like for Lynn, for Georgia, and Ava, like to be closer to family. You're only up the road from West Cork now. It's only a couple of hours drive, so we'll probably see you more often back around this neck of the woods. But how excited are you for what that chapter holds, I suppose, from a family point of view first, David?
Yeah, family is everything. Family comes first. And, I think looking at having the opportunity to have, say, grandparents close by, to have my folks being able to come up from Cork now, depends on who's driving, but I don't think it'll be that quick of a commute. But at the same time, I think the way we were looking at it is it's exciting, because I know my wife Lynn, when we were in Christmas time, when we were home in Belfast for December, even going to her old primary school to give Georgia maybe a bit of an introductory look to see like this could potentially be your primary school. So for her, a bit of the nostalgia, but also an exciting time knowing that, yeah, hopefully that Georgia and Ava eventually will be, following in their mother's footsteps. I think for myself, being able to, as you mentioned, up and down the road, maybe, a good 5-6 hour drive, if you want to call it that. And also get down to my family in Kerry, in Ballyhigh, where my auntie's still there, and, where we spent most of our summertime. And, such incredible memories from my childhood that I don't think I've actually been there in about 3-4 years. And I know, for example, that my daughters might not have ever been there. So there's things like that that are awfully exciting, to show family, get close to friends again, and just start building our life up again up in Belfast.
And what does the next stage of your hockey career look like moving back here to Ireland?
That's very much the question that I'm trying to answer at the minute. I'm still loving my hockey, Kieran, to be honest with you. I still feel that I can still perform at an incredibly good level where I'm happy with. I still think, there's much more to give, although, maybe not for a prolonged period of time, but certainly a shorter kind of term. So right now, it's funny, since the news broke and since the news came out, there's been some interesting contacts and offers made from different clubs around Europe, and closer to home. So just kind of weighing up options, seeing what's best and seeing what fits into family life and not the other way around. Goal is still to go back to the Hockey India League again the following January. They're making it even a shorter period of time. So instead of the 6 weeks away, it's now down to 24 days or something. For me to be able to go and do that would mean an awful lot for us from a financial stability point of view, but also still playing at the highest level. I think, the last game we played over there, he played in front of a full. I think they just built that stadium for the World Cup back in 2023. It's the biggest hockey stadium in the world, 25,000 people up in the rafters, everything, something that I'll certainly never forget and would definitely love to go back again. So International wise, still also not entirely sure what it looks like, how it's clear or not. So kind of stepped away from the program now, and we'll have to get in touch again with the coaching staff and see what their plans would be as well moving forward.
Is that something that's still like kind of that chance to play with Ireland? Like, is it something you still want to do? Kind of like you said, you're trying to weigh up all your options now. But if the Ireland management team came calling and said, David, we want you back in, what would your initial reaction be, or your first reaction?
Would have to really have a good think about it, see is it feasible? It probably, to be honest, Kieran, it's probably easier, being in Ireland. Most of the trainings happen regionally based. They'll be up in Belfast, national camps up in Banbridge, perhaps. So it might actually be easier instead of having to be flying in and flying out from over here. So really have to have a look and see what's the best for family first, and then what's the best for myself, and see, of course, is it something that can be done and can be combined with work, or maybe still playing abroad, or the trying to juggle an awful lot of balls at the moment, and we'll eventually see kind of where it all kind of pans out.
To think where you are right now, to the young fella that sent that email 15 years ago to Dutch clubs to see if anyone would take a chance on a young West Cork fella, kind of, can you think back to can you remember when you actually sent that email, David, kind of, and then just waiting for the responses to come back in?
Pretty clearly, actually. I can remember even like pausing or hesitating to hit that kind of send button, being like, Jesus, no one knows me. Are they going to take a chance? I think I can still remember the figure. I had played 52 times for Ireland at the time. I was really, really just willing to do anything to get over here. I think in part of the email, it also said, I'm willing to come over on a trial, show what I can do. If you need to contact the current Irish coach I had at the time, or the current high performance director of Irish hockey, just, to get a bit more background about me, not just as a player, but as a person, had it all, nicely compiled in that email. So, I chatted also recently with a Dutch kind of hockey.nl, one of the big kind of news suppliers here for hockey in the Hoofdklasse and here in the Netherlands. And I mentioned that as well, and I'll say it again, I still have that email for a purpose, for a reason, to try and remind myself. And it does remind me, where it all started, how the dream kind of came about, and still managing to live in that dream over here. It's very special, and it's something that I still look back on with immense pride of having the opportunity to come over here. But little did I know, 15 seasons later, that you'd still be doing it.
Like you've become a club legend in Kampong, like kind of all your kind of national titles over. I think it was the EHL in 2016, twice voted the best men's hockey goalkeeper in the world. And I see here one of your longtime teammates hailed you as the most important purchase ever by Kampong. As in, can you kind of realise or the impact that you've had on that club and the adventure that you've had with them as well?
Oh, definitely not. And it might be something I might realise, over a couple of pints of Guinness and the local golf club in a couple of years' time, when I've really kind of taken a step away from hockey and the dust has settled on the career and the sporting side of things. But like as I said to you, I'm just so fortunate, so proud to have been able to do it for as many years, to have done it with such incredible teammates, such talented individuals, but also incredible people, made friendships for life. Um, and the time with Kampong, yeah, well, the curtain's going to fall eventually. I think hopefully after another championship win in May sometime. Yeah, it's been surreal, and those kind of words said by close teammates, I mean, like that, are certainly some things that I will hold dear to me. But at the same time, not having an awful lot of time right now to think about it just yet, because we're still in mid-flow in the second half of the season.
How do you approach the final months of the season? I know when we were talking after the Paris Olympics last year, you were telling me how you soaked up every moment, every sound, every smell. Like you took that elevator selfie leaving the Olympic Village when you were after the Irish hockey team's kind of adventure came to an end. Is it very much the same for you? I know very much there's David, the hockey player, who wants to win again, but do you really want to just kind of make memories of what the next few weeks and months will look like?
Think so, and I think I've been kind of consciously doing that for the last, period of time as well, because knowing that eventually it will come to an end. Playing in one of the most incredible club facilities in the world, surrounded by 9 hockey pitches. When I still cycle in the back entrance on my way from my house here with my bike and stuff, it's still just, you see pitches as far as your eyes can see. You think there's close to almost 4,000 hockey players in total there between youth and and senior section, and it's really, coming from Cork Harlequins, where it all started for me up at the airport around about there. We had one pitch at a time, and we were lucky enough to have that a sand-based pitch. But here, it's like the mecca of hockey, and I'm taking in every time I'm on the pitch now, every time I'm training with the lads, whether in the gym, and also just, enjoying those big kind of matches as well that are coming along our path to try and get into the top four for the playoffs. You're still playing on average in front of, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 people if you're lucky. And, those moments are priceless. And especially when I can still see my two girls and my wife in the stands as well, which obviously makes it even more special.
Give us an update. So, David, where are we at in terms of the season and Kampong's title aspirations?
We are after a tough and I would say not our greatest first half of the season. I think the bit of the disadvantage of having five Olympic gold medalists from that Dutch winning side in Paris, it meant that they obviously came back, of course, on a massive high, but as the time went on, also found a little bit of low, and I think rightfully so, not just physically but also mentally drained from everything that had happened during that summer period. And I think as 2024 as a whole, we came second in the Euro Hockey League, which is basically the Champions League of club hockey in Europe. And then we won the Dutch Championship, and then the guys go on and they win the Olympics in Paris. It's really hard to comprehend. So I can understand from that side of things. It kind of, yeah, it unsettled us as a group. But now we're slowly getting our way back into things. We're currently sitting in fourth. Had a big match last weekend and got a good victory against kind of a rival competitor trying to get break into the top four as well, and kind of came away with a solid 4-1 victory. So I like to think we're kind of almost doing what we did last year, where we're not kind of showing all our hands in the first half of the season, and then we're trying to peak towards the important moments, because we have also the EHL quarterfinal coming up in April, hosted here in the Netherlands again, and then the playoffs will be hopefully the weekend, I believe, around the 17th or 18th of May. So we'll have to wait and see. But even before that, actually, on a special note, I have my folks coming over and a couple of close friends on the 11th of May. It'll be my last official regular home game for Kampong in the league, and it just happens to be against Stixa SCHC. It's the team where I started off in the Hoofdklasse 15 years ago.
There's a lovely symmetry to that, isn't there?
Yeah, and a Dutch expression, it means that the circle is one. That means obviously it's everything's just come full circle. So yeah, it's quite unique.
I think what's so impressive about your story in the Netherlands too, you really embraced the culture over there. I saw some interview you were on recently where you cycled to the studio, I think, for the TV interview, which was obviously in Dutch, and you're fluent in Dutch. With a podcast chat before a couple of years ago, there was a cat walking across inside the cafe you were talking from. So even talk to me sort of about the culture over there and how much you enjoy just kind of embracing yourself into culture and becoming just living like a Dutch person.
Anyone can probably, testify to this as well, that if you've lived abroad, it's always good at times to try put yourself out there. The advantage I had when I first moved over here, I moved over with Connor, and we played together for 2 seasons, so we were living together, playing together, and that was great. You always had, basically your best friend there the whole time. But it was only up until he left that you kind of started realizing you need to throw yourself out a little bit more. You need to try and reach out to people. You need to try and, just make those social connections, and not just having the teammates, but also friendships outside of the club setting. And I think the language side of things, still, even after all these years, my biggest mistake probably was never having done a lesson. I thought maybe after year one, year two, maybe I should have done them, but I never realized, Kieran, how long I was going to be staying over here. So I just started picking up some phrases, some words. I think a good thing for me was that in Kampong, I had happened to be the only foreign player at times, basically, for the last 10, 12 years, basically. So everything was done through Dutch in the change rooms, team talks, anything, from a kick up the ass from the coach, from your teammates, or a pat in the back. It was all through Dutch. And basically started really kind of submerging yourself into Dutch life, putting yourself out there, ordering things at cafes, restaurants, making mistakes. Maybe after a couple of beers, having a bit of Dutch courage and trying to go full pull and full kind of fluent. But yeah, it's been phenomenal. And the healthiness and the nice thing about everything, such an easy commute. It's so flat, jumping on your bike. Now taking my two girls, one in the front of the bike, one in the back of the bike, all those kind of things. Certainly things I'll definitely miss when I return to Ireland.
I know it's been an incredible adventure, and congratulations on all you've achieved, and best of luck in the weeks ahead. And no doubt we'll be chatting once you set up camp in Belfast. Thanks, David.
Cheers, Kieran. Thanks again.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So it is that time of the week again where we look at what's in this Thursday's Southern Star. So what should our readers expect this week, Kieran?
Yeah, absolutely packed Star on the way this Thursday, and we've a 2-page spread on the Sacred Heart Secondary School Clonakilty rugby teams that won Munster Schools rugby titles last week. So this happened too late for last week's issue, but we're kind of capturing it now in terms of just the achievement that it is that Sacred Heart won both the senior and junior cup finals in at Munster Schools level. It's just a phenomenal achievement for the Clonakilty school, who also achieved the same last year. And rugby is only in Sacred Heart 3 years. This is its third year in the Clonakilty school, and to go out and win the double is just absolutely phenomenal achievement. And just as a quick update, as we're recording this, there's been more school success for a West Cork school, and Bandon Grammar School has won the Munster Rugby Schools Junior Cup final. They've just beaten CBC 20 points to 12. An incredible effort for Bandon Grammar to win their first title at this level. So congratulations to all involved, and we'll have that great coverage of that in next week's Southern Star. So switching back again to this week, we have a 2-page spread also on Neva Bonds hosting of their first ever inter-county ladies football game. Joe McCarthy has written a lovely kind of colour piece talking to a lot of the club people involved in the hosting of the game and what went into it. So that's well worth checking out. Also on top of that, County Hurling League took kind of prominence over the weekend, and our feature game was Bell and Barry Rowe, a Division 6 derby, and it finished honours even. Huge game for Skibbereen Community School this Thursday, taking on Loretto from Cavan in the All-Ireland School Senior A football final. So I wish the Skibbereen School the best of luck there. And we have Matthew, you were chatting to Leah Carey, the Skib captain, so that's definitely worth checking out for such a big game for the Skibbereen School. Also, we caught up with Nicola Tuttle. She won Ireland's first ever European Throne Cup gold medal at the competition in Cyprus recently. So I had a chat with her about how important it is for her to win a gold medal at this stage of her career, and also this early in the season. The West Cork League is powering on, and as our Clonakilty Soccer Club, just after winning the Beamish Cup, they're now through to the Premier Division Cup final. They beat Castletown Celtic 4-3 on Monday night. So they're won the Beamish Cup, through to the Premier Division Cup semi-final. They have the Mavery Cup semi-final this weekend, and they're also in a good position in the Premier Division, so it could be an incredible into the season for Clonakilty soccer. So we've that and loads more, including the first weekend of the Ladies County Football Leagues. We've a comprehensive roundup on that. So there's those loads in there for our readers to kind of sink their teeth into.
Exactly. So, and as usual, if you are further afield or can't make it to the shops, you could subscribe to the Southern Star e-paper and get the Southern Star on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just go to www.southernstar.ie/subscribe, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2 per week. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be back again next week. Until then, take care.